Thank you very much. It's great to be back here at the National Press Club again at the start of another year. Let me begin by acknowledging the Ngunnawal people, their elders past, present and emerging. And I also recognise any veterans who are here with us today, as well as any serving men and women of our Australian Defence Forces, and thank you all for your great service to our country. Can I particularly acknowledge, and have many colleagues here today, so I'm not going to call the roll, but to the Deputy Prime Minister, Barnaby, it's great to have you here with me. And also, can I acknowledge my dear friend Marise Payne, for one particular reason. In just a few weeks' time, Marise will become the longest-serving female senator in Australia's history. And the longest continuous serving parliamentarian as a female. And so congratulations to you, Marise. You're a great colleague and you've served our country incredibly well. And as a Liberal, I'm very proud of you, and as a mate too. The past 3 years have been some of the most extraordinary that our nation has ever experienced. Younger generations have never known anything like it. The succession of natural disasters, from drought to flood, fires, pestilence, a once-in-a-century global pandemic, the recession it caused, has pushed our country to the very limits. It has been tough raising your family, keeping your job, doing your job, especially for those health and aged care workers who we thank for their tremendous service. It's been tough keeping your small business or your farm going. It's been tough keeping your children's education up, caring for elderly relatives, those with a disability, and it's been very tough on them too. Family plans have been disrupted, and worst of all, it's been heartbreaking to lose so many loved ones, especially in recent weeks, and on occasions where we couldn't even come together to farewell them. Our way of life has been completely turned upside down. For so many Australians, I know it's been exhausting, financially, physically, emotionally. And when we thought we might just be breaking free, the rains have come, the cyclone has hit, or a new and completely different strain of the virus, like Omicron, has come and changed all the rules. And I don't doubt many have stayed awake at night after telling their kids, or those they care for, or those they employ, it's all going to be okay. But wondering themselves in the quiet of that night whether it really will be. I can tell you, as Prime Minister, I can assure you, I've asked those same questions. I've lived with those same doubts over these past 3 years. It's been crushing to visit towns and homes devastated, often with Jen, by storms, ravaged by flood or fires, to walk across barren pastures, to see the queues outside Centrelink or testing centres, to see the empty shops and restaurants, as I saw in Cairns just earlier over the weekend, to see the lives and livelihoods of Australians disrupted through no fault of their own and through circumstances well beyond theirs and our control often. So I understand and I acknowledge the frustration, especially with how this global pandemic has played out over this past very difficult summer. And I want to thank Australians. You've had to put up with a lot. The fact that far worse outcomes have been experienced overseas, which we know, well, that gives some important perspective, but it doesn't soften the blow. And it's fair enough that this disappointment leads you to ask, couldn't you have done more? Couldn't this have been avoided? After all, aren't you responsible? I get that. For me as Prime Minister, Accepting this responsibility means asking yourself and challenging yourself every single day with those same questions. And I can assure you I do. I haven't got everything right. And I'll take my fair share of the criticism and the blame. It goes with the job. But so does getting up each day, dealing with the challenges, staying positive, and believing in the strength and good nature and resilience of the Australian people. And above all, never giving up. In these times we've experienced, there's been no guidebook, and you have to make decisions in real time. But with hindsight, the view does change, and lessons are learned, lessons that will continue to be invaluable to me and so many of my team who are here with me today, and those who are out there with Australians in their communities, to deal with the challenges and uncertainties that are still definitely ahead. And I'd like to share a few of them with you. Firstly, you've always got to focus on getting the balance right. From the outset of the pandemic, I've said our twin goals have been to save lives and to save livelihoods. This is how we protect our Australian way of life. And I've always sought to balance our health objectives with our broader societal and economic well-being. We must respect the virus, but we must not live in fear of it. You must be prepared to listen to that advice, but also to take the decisions that strike the right balance, because it is we who have been trusted with those decisions. Secondly, you must be very practical. The virus does not care what your political views are. It writes the rules about how it behaves, and we must then write our rules about how we respond. And these rules must be flexible. They will change. There is no set and forget in a pandemic like this. There are times when you have to pull back, and there are times when you have to push forward. And what may have been the right response, absolutely at one point in time in the pandemic, it'll flip on you. And it may not be the right response in a later phase of the pandemic. Thirdly, you must accept that you may lose a few battles along the way. And when these setbacks occur, you must keep moving forward. You can't dwell on the things that didn't play out as you may have expected or liked. When this occurs, the job is to get across the problem and make the changes needed as soon as possible and get on with it.